What if I told you that the real rulebook for building a billion-dollar empire, well, it's not something you're going to learn in business school. Nope. It's found in this kind of hidden playbook, one written by some of history's boldest and most audacious titans. So let's crack it open, shall we? It sounds like a riddle, doesn't it? But really, it's the exact question we need to be asking. Because the road to truly unimaginable wealth, it's rarely paved with common sense. It's built on seeing the gold that everyone else is tripping over. And that, right there, brings us to play number 1 in the playbook. Finding absolutely game-changing value where everyone else just sees trash or, a total dead end. Now, this isn't just about being a rebel without a cause. There's actually a name for it. It's a disciplined strategy called contrarian investing. It's all about zigging when the entire market is zagging, but, and this is key, only after you've really done your homework. Okay, for a perfect example of this, let's talk about a guy named John Kluge. Right after World War II, everybody was stampeding towards television. I mean, it was the future, right? But Kluge, he saw something different. He knew that making TVs was crazy expensive because the raw materials were super scarce. So while all his competitors were bleeding cash on the next big thing, he was quietly snatching up cheap radio stations, which, by the way, already had a massive audience and super low costs. Absolute genius. And then there was Alfred Winslow Jones. This guy was another master of this play. He basically invented the very first hedge fund by ignoring the one question that obsessed all of Wall Street. Is the market going up or down? He didn't care. Instead, he just focused on individual companies. He'd buy stocks he thought were winners and, at the same time, bet against the ones he thought were losers. By doing both, he hedged his bets and he could make money no matter which way the whole market decided to go. All right, so you've found value where no one else could. What's next? Well, the next play is all about blowing that advantage up. We're talking about an ambition so big you don't just want to compete in an industry, you want to own it, top to bottom. And for this, look no further than Leonardo Del Vecchio, the man behind Luxottica. I mean, he didn't just build an eyewear company, he conquered the entire industry, piece by methodical piece. He started small, making little parts for other companies, then he started assembling his own frames, then he bought the distribution network, then he bought the big retail stores like Lens Crafters and Sunglass Hut, and for the final move, he merged with the biggest lens maker in the world. He controlled everything from the tiniest screw in the hinge to the very store you bought your glasses from. And believe me, this strategy wasn't always friendly. When Luxottica got into a pricing fight with the brand Oakley, they just dropped them from all their stores overnight. Oakley's stock totally tanked, which made them a cheap target. And guess who swooped in to buy them? Yep, Luxottica. Their justification that life was better together, that is just a bone-chillingly calm way to describe a total corporate takedown. Now, Rupert Murdoch, he took a different path to control, but it was just as powerful. He didn't just own one single industry, he built this vast, interconnected ecosystem. His newspapers would promote his TV shows, which were based on books from his publishing house, which were maybe being adapted into movies by his studio, featuring sports teams he owned, playing in arenas he had a stake in. You see, each piece of the empire was designed to make the other pieces stronger. And now we get to the most terrifying play in the whole book. This is the one that just throws all the conventional rules of risk management right out the window. It's about making one single colossal gamble that could either turn you into a legend or bankrupt you completely. Remember John Kluge, the radio guy? Well, later on, he got sick of answering to shareholders, so in a move that just stunned Wall Street, he took out a $1.3 billion personal loan to buy out every single one of them. He took his company, Metromedia, private, giving him total control. He later said it was the biggest risk he'd taken since running away from home as a kid. But even that, it pales in comparison to Masayoshi Son, the CEO of SoftBank. This guy wanted to create the world's biggest tech investment fund, a fund so huge it could basically shape the future all by itself. So in one legendary 45-minute meeting, he talked the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia into investing $45 billion. That is $1 billion a minute. The sheer audacity to bet that big, that fast, it's just hard to wrap your head around. Of course, when you bet the house, you can also lose the house. You only have to look at Son's massive gamble on WeWork. At its peak, the company was valued at a ridiculous $47 billion. SoftBank pumped in over $16 billion. And the end result? Total, complete collapse and bankruptcy. Betting the house can build an empire for sure, but it can also burn it right to the ground. And that leads us to the final and maybe the most important part of this playbook. What's the real cost of these massive wins? Because the strategies that build this kind of dominance, well, they often leave a pretty messy trail behind them. So remember Del Vecchio's total control over the eyewear market? Well, this is the other side of that coin. With almost no competition, Luxottica was accused of jacking up prices by as much as 1,000%. It got so bad that even the founder of LensCrafters, a company Del Vecchio had bought, called the prices a complete ripoff. And in Rupert Murdoch's empire, that relentless hunger for scoops led to one of the biggest media scandals of our time. Journalists at his News of the World paper were caught hacking phones, including, and this is just horrific, the voicemail of a murdered teenager, which gave her family false hope that she might still be alive. The public outrage was so massive it forced a 168-year-old newspaper to shut down for good. And when he was questioned about it, Murdoch's response was seen by so many as just shockingly detached. To him, this scandal-ridden paper was, quote, less than 1% of our company, which was his explanation, he said, for his laxity. To his critics, it sounded like the arrogance of an emperor who couldn't be bothered with the problems of some distant, tiny province. And what about the mess from the WeWork collapse? Well, while hundreds of regular employees were laid off with absolutely nothing, the company's controversial founder, Adam Neumann, walked away with a severance package worth $1.7 billion. It's just a brutal reminder of who really pays the price when these massive bets go wrong. But even at the very end, these titans couldn't help but be unconventional. John Kluge, the guy who started this whole journey with marbles and old radio stations, he left us with this final, kind of playful piece of wisdom on his headstone. A little wink at the end of an incredible, and let's face it, an incredibly complex life. So when you look back at this playbook, what do you see? Are these people brilliant innovators who just saw the future more clearly than anyone else? Are they high-stakes gamblers who just got insanely lucky? Or are they ruthless monopolists who rewrote the rules just to make sure they'd always win? Their legacy, it seems, is just as complicated and controversial as the empires they built.